having me. It's nice
Yeah,
to meet you.
yeah, it's wonderful to meet you. I'm looking forward to getting into the music, into your career. So, again, thank you so much for taking a minute out today.
My pleasure. My
So, let's
pleasure.
begin our journey into your world by asking you this. 5 years ago, this pandemic changed everything for all of us. The
Yeah.
musicians were rearranged, calendars melted away in the matter of days. How did you get through that era? And what did you learn from that that you carry with you right now when you create and live?
Okay. Yeah. Well, big question, big
Yeah,
time.
I'm starting off with
No,
the hammer.
the insignificant things.
Yeah.
Um, you know, a lot, a lot of projects were in the works. A lot of projects were canceled. Uh, Here I am. I mean, I will tell you, we had downsized our New York City digs before and got this place in the country before COVID hit. So I was actually renting a little place that I was fortunate enough to be able to pack up and stay here. So the first thing is I can't complain. I got to be in the country, and not that there weren't some benefits and community in the city, but in the early stages, we felt safe here, and I felt very lucky. Projects canceled aside, we just started working and creating. And my partner and my husband Gary and I, we were introduced as songwriting collaborators over 25 years ago, and so part of why we downsized our city digs is that if I'm not performing or we're not doing something, we're home working. So we were just kind of home working, and as everything dried up, we did create more. We wrote a new show. I somehow magically got a collaborative team together, and I still don't know how, with a film crew of 25 people, we filmed out of the jazz world, my theatrical production, Love Linda, The Life of Mrs. Cole Porter. We found a school that had a library with a theater, and we created the set, and everybody in the theater community was so hungry to work and do anything. So it was very exciting. That was like the highlight of artistically of COVID for us, that I got to perform. I felt a little guilty. I was the only one without a mask, but it's a one woman show, and I couldn't be singing on the stage with a mask.
Yeah.
But so to answer your question, we kept writing, we kept working, we miraculously survived, and we got to put this film out, which is actually streaming on Amazon Prime now, and won some awards and in some film festivals. So I consider myself one of the really lucky ones that I was able to do anything during
Yeah.
COVID.
That's amazing. So, talk to your tomatoes. Talk to me about the album. It's full of classics and gems and all kinds of American Songbook wonder. Talk to me about the album.
Okay, well, the album it was a year in the making. It's always a process. I hadn't recorded for several years, so I was really excited to put an album out again. And it's the process of picking. I think I know exactly what the album's going to be, and then suddenly, no, that song's not going to work now. And even though I love that song, it was a Stevie Wonder song I wanted on it. Anyway, we worked on it. Gary worked on the arrangements, and slowly put it together. I had to kind of fight. Talk to Your Tomatoes is and the song You Pull Through are both from a project, sort of a film project that did not take off yet. And I kind of had to fight to put that tune on. It was like, no, you're not putting that on the album. I'm like, yes, I'm putting that on the album. And people need to smile, people need to laugh. And I'm going to title the album that. So I had some resistance from the hipsters, but it's like, come on, the times are so crazy right now. So yeah, and we assembled a team. I mean, I've got guys I've worked with before. Jeff Davis has been on a few albums with me, the drummer. Uh, Ben Mond, who many people are wondering, what are Stevie and Ben Mond, doing together? It's been a long time coming. I actually know Ben since high school, and we sort of connected 20 years ago, and he'd show up at some of my performances, and I wanted him on albums a long time ago. So this was just finally got to get Ben on this album.
Yeah.
And yeah, and all the other players that we discovered through a Norwegian sax player, a friend of mine, connected me to Chet Doxas, who's wonderful talent. And each of the guys, there's a story, but we know them all. And we're not a working band, but we did a lot of prep for the album and rehearsed, and we became like a little family in the process. And so I'm really proud of the team, and the songs are, everyone is cherry picked. Everyone's got a story.
Yep.
Uh, from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory to James Taylor to whatever I grew up with as a kid. There's always an influence, and the standards as well. So Did I answer that
You
correctly?
absolutely, you nailed it. So what are you hoping the listener gets from this album?
I'm hoping first of all, I hope the listener, I'll say my last album was a little sadder. My mom had actually died at that time, and I probably shouldn't have recorded it then because I was in a darker place and the material was darker. I think this album it's probably my most joyful album, and I kind of want the listener to just feel good. I mean, of course, there are emotional peaks, there's depth in this album. There's a couple of heavy moments in the album, but I really want the listener to just be elevated, to feel good, to appreciate. Each song has a really good statement. Most of them are positive statements. I think Gary's arrangements are fabulous. The horn combo, the horn writing, the strings that we added on this. So there's a lot of quality music on it, instrumentally, and I just think I want the listener to walk away with just feeling good, at peace, maybe a few laughs along the way, certainly with tomatoes. Oh,
I think my dad was a native New Yorker. Um, he was from Brooklyn, born in Brooklyn, raised in Long Island. When I heard the title of the album, he used to always call women, good-looking women, tomatoes. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? I'd never heard that before. It,
well, you're not the first one who said that to me, and also not just good-looking women. Apparently, other things like
right,
parts of the body on good-looking
right.
women. All right, look. First, in this project, it was a movie called Barn Song. It's kind of an animated screenplay, and each song has a story. But there's a farmer in it, and it fits into the storyline. But the genesis, I guess. By the way, well, Gary's a Brooklyn boy, and my dad grew up in Long Island too.
Yeah.
Anyway, my father, who was, God love him, a bit manic. I mean, like manic. Like I had to sit and learn Ben Webster solos when I was a kid, or we went to every national park in every state. He was little, but he loved his garden.
Yeah.
And so much to the point that, like, when I was a kid, one night my mother made a body out of, a head of lettuce and all these different parts, and all these different vegetables. And she said, "Well, I figured you'd rather sleep with your garden, than me." And so there's that gardening influence. And then my mom, who had this glorious operatic voice, she would get together with all her opera singing friends, and they would all brag about how they sang to their plants and whose plants grew faster. And it was like it was a real competition. So somehow the influence of my father's gardening and my mother's talking to plants gave birth to that song for this project. And then
Love it.
yeah.
That's wonderful. And you mentioned too something lighthearted. We're living in a modern clown show. There's so much insanity all the time. And I think about what musicians are doing, what you're putting out in the world, something that's feel good like this. Is this in your mind when you think about recordings and playing live for the audience?
Absolutely. I mean, everybody needs to be lifted up right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all well, let's say those of us who possess maybe an ounce of sanity are
Uh-huh.
pretty darn depressed right now.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And so we need to be lifted up. Yeah. And the You Pull Through song, that was actually, there was a rooster who in this movie was rescued from a slaughterhouse, and he's up in a sanctuary, and he's feeling really guilty that his buds are still down in Brooklyn, actually. And so the song is sort of about survivor's guilt, and and again, I felt it was kind of universal, and that's another story where people, it's okay to live and move forward, and that's just another kind of message on the album. But yeah, we got to lift each other up. I mean,
Yeah, we
that's
certainly do. Take me to the beginnings of your journey. Why did music make sense? Writing, being a creative, singing. How did all of this evolve into who you are today?
was stupid, and I should have become a lawyer or something. I don't know. I grew up with so much music around me. I, and such a wide. I'm the youngest of seven kids, and like my dad he was second marriage, and he was pretty old when I was born, and he was the youngest of five. So like his brother, my uncle Mike, toured with Fred Astaire in the USO,
Uh-huh.
and was a pianist and a band leader. And my dad played saxophone. He chose another route professionally. My mom was a singer. She could have been a contender, but she ended up having seven kids. So that's her was her crazy choice. But I from theater, jazz, a lot of rich music as a kid to my bringing out orange juice to a purple painted bus when my older brother came back from Woodstock. I mean, and acid and pop, and I had it just their influence were so major in my life, and it just sort of became a natural thing. And I got into that was a ham, and I got into theater as a kid, so I started performing in community theater and shows, and when I graduated, I didn't really want to pursue musical theater per se. I sort of studied drama seriously, and then one thing led to another. It was a dry time in New York. I started doing cabaret, and then I kind of that what cabaret led to one of my first recordings, and then I just started. I preferred working with jazz musicians. I preferred going in a direction that was a little more challenging musically. I like to open up songs and take liberties and explore uh, uh, improvisationally, and so jazz became a natural direction. But I'm still, I'm pretty. I still cross a lot of genres. I mean, I'm
Right.
not, you know, not hardcore, but anyway.
I get it. Do you remember the first live show that you saw that blew you away and made you think, I want to do that one day?
But the first big concert I went to, first of all, was Carole King at the Beacon Theater, and I was
Oh.
8 years old, and it was the first time I smelled pot, and I was like, "What's that?" But anyway, but yeah, I was pretty like, well, first of all, my biggest regret is that it's like I had one sister who was 18 months older, and she became like, she studied piano, and she became the wonder kid, and played classically and all of that. And so I kind of had to, I'm going to play guitar, and do something different. And like, what did I learn? Spanish classical, it was like the stupidest thing I could have done. So my biggest regret was not really pursuing an instrument to play for myself and accompany myself. Who did I really see live? The early live performances were really, the singer-songwriters, the pop and folk. I didn't really start. I will say, well, I mean, I started seeing jazz actually when I was a teenager. There was a venue in Westchester County where I grew up, and guys like Steve Gadd would come in, and they were when he had his band Stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was definitely getting turned on to jazz. I mean, my first, after breaking away from my dad's more traditional jazz, I was I was getting into the contemporary in high school, like Steely Dan, and just a wide range of sort of contemporary crossover. Um, and then Pat Smith. Anyway, so many of my influences were really contemporary musicians.
Yeah.
The vocalists, I'm more traditional, like, Anita O'Day, June Christie, Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan. Those are my more vocal influences. But so I can't say I saw like a great jazz vocalist that
Yeah.
made me want. I was already performing, in the theater, and cabaret, and then recording and finding my own way.
So let me ask you this. When you hit the ground running in earnest, what was the first stage you got on that you were kind of bespeckled by? You were like, wow, I'm here, I'm on this stage. Did you have a moment like that?
Probably, well, because the clubs were exciting, but a lot smaller. Probably when I did a few concerts early in New York, in some of the concert halls, Kaufman Concert Hall. I which they don't even really do concerts anymore, but back in the day, they were doing a lot of concerts. My first concert I actually did. Harvey S. was on bass. And well, Neil Wolf, who is no longer here, was a brilliant pianist, by the way. He did several albums with Columbia. Teo Macero
Yeah.
um, produced, and Peter Matz did arrangements. And he was in that Peter Nero, Errol Garner era. And his thing was he had written a song for Streisand, and they were friends. But anyway, Neil and I did a lot of work together. But he wasn't really a jazz player. He was a brilliant pianist. But anyway, that concert, that was a big concert. Um, I'm trying to, a guy named Cleve Posar was on drums. I don't know how far, I'm not sure how far. He hasn't been playing in a long time. So, but Harvey's still out there.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely he
but, yeah,
is.
so concert stage was really, the main was the wow, I guess, early. And I did quite a few concerts around the country, and so yeah, the jazz rooms came later, Jazz at Lincoln Center, Dizzy's, those kind of venues. Dizzy's, they're wonderful venues, but they're not, there's too few of them,
Yeah.
and they don't get promoted enough, and it's, crazy, crazy.
So what do you like the best about being a creative, being a professional musician?
Well, The musician part is really my voice. The creative is the writing. I love writing. I've been doing. I worked with a lot of different collaborators, and although Gary's been my steady collaborator for a long time, before him I wrote with people like Moogie Klingman, who was he wrote the song "You Gotta Have Friends," and he was with the rock band Utopia, and we put out a couple of tunes together. But writing is very meaningful to me, putting pen to paper and continuing to hone my craft as a lyricist. Look, it's the whole creative process. It's a gift. It's a gift to have 5 minutes to be able to do this. I mean, it's a struggle. It's a crazy living. It's feast or famine, hit or miss. But just being able to actually create, to manufacture something out of thin air that's original, that you thought of that hasn't been done before. That's kind of exciting.
So I know you dabble in other genres, but specifically because we're talking jazz, why do you love this art form that we call jazz music?
I mean, it's it is just without dissing, pop or any other genre. I mean, it's the level. I mean, first of all, I mean, there's always been geniuses. Today, there's like too many, and it's scary. I mean, we know so many young. They're just coming out of, all of the schools now. And there's too much talent out there. But the talent, the experimentation, the improvisation, the risk taking. I mean, that is is the soul of jazz. The emotional depth. I mean, it's just way beyond. It's just taking music to another level. How far can we go? It's not hewed in. I mean, sure, classically, you can go out there atonally as a composer. There's experimentation as a composer in classical, but I think I think players, musicians, people who put sound out and take it into so many different directions, that's the thrill for me. To just kind of like no strictures and see where you can go and be brave to go there.
Yeah, for sure. No, I get it. So let me ask you this. Everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, fans, everyone on
They're
the
all
bandstand. They're all wrong. All
wrong.
of them. So everyone has this perception, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are? Uh,
Uh, well, I know what I try to be. I try to be. Now you're talking about like as a human being now or as an artist.
well, I think both of them are intertwined. I mean, it's just that idea like everybody has this role that you play, but
Right.
you're the ego and superego. What is it that you think you are?
Um, okay. I know what I have been. I know what I strive to be. I have, as from a young kid, I was, first of all, I was an old soul, but now I'm kind of starting to regress, thank God. But I was always a connector. I bring people together. Even when I was a kid, I mean, I'm going to totally embarrass Ben Monder, but we were actually in a youth group together, totally hip, not like non-denominational, very cool. They should have them today and get the kids, off the phones and social media. But I was like, I ran the youth group and led it, and that kind of probably is what more it became a natural evolution into my performing. And I think when I'm performing, I'm bringing people together, and whether it's on stage or in real life, in my neighborhood, in my community, my friends, my family, I try to be there, to connect, to lift people up. I don't know why, not that it's like my job, but somehow I do feel I feel this responsibility. I feel I have this. I was given some gifts, and I try to give back with them, and I try to help in whatever way I can, whether it's artistically or if it's just, helping somebody rake their leaves or take their trash out of their way, or I don't know what, it's
Yeah,
just, you gotta put yourself out there. So that's, I guess, how I see myself. How other people see me, I don't know. And I
right.
told you, they're all
They're all wrong. So if anyone wants to get a copy of Talk to Your Tomatoes, they want to catch you live, any of the previous work, anything going on in your world, where they go.
okay. Well, this my website, of course, stevieholland.com. But my whole back catalog, it's a long story I won't go into now, but I kept a lot of stuff off the digisphere, sort of stupidly, but we'll leave that alone because I was like devastated when iTunes finally became Apple Music. But all of my the current album, my whole back catalog is now anywhere, Spotify, iTunes, Apple, Deezer, Tidal, YouTube, for all the cheapies out there. Yeah, it's YouTube. And I understand that. Although you probably have to watch some disgusting commercial before a song comes on.
Uh-huh.
And of course, Amazon.com. I burned a CD. I'm still old school. I didn't do an LP, but we do have a CD out there too. So if you like to have that little disc, if you still have a car that has a player in it, you
Uh-huh.
can get it at Amazon. And yeah, and we held off with we're starting to schedule. We will have some performances announced. My first stop will be New York, and we're holding off till the new year. We had a little bit of a bump getting this album out. There were a few things that happened, so we needed to right the ship and make sure everything was in place. So I will be out performing in 26. So I can't. The dates are not up yet, but the
Okay.
first stop is New York.
Okay. I will put links in the show notes. Stevie, it was so good to meet you. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for taking a
thank
minute.
you.
It's been
Great to meet
wonderful.
you too. All
Yeah.
right, you
Thank you.
take care now.